The first step is to identify, do we have leaky gut present? So we usually order a leaky gut marker, like intestinal permeability panels. Intestinal permeability and leaky gut mean the same thing. Leaky gut is where you have the barrier, the tight junctions, they get breached or compromised and they open up and they let undigested food proteins and bacteria and yeast and whatever into the bloodstream, and then your immune system's there and creates a reaction, which is usually inflammatory, and then you get a skin issue, or you get bloated, or you get constipated, or you gain weight, or you can't gain weight. So you have all these things happen. So first we identify, do they have leaky gut, using some testing to do that through one of the labs. And then the second is you want to know what is negatively affecting this patient, if anything. Is it food? Is it infection? Is it a toxin, a chemical, mold? Is it something like a hormone imbalance? Is it a nutrient deficiency? Is it stress that's breaking down the barrier? Is it alcohol? What is it that's breaking down the barrier system, if that's what they have? If my house is on fire, like the fire is the inflammation, well, those things that cause inflammation are exactly what I talked about. The food proteins, the bugs, the toxins, all those things that can contribute to that. So I need to first try to remove that, okay, before I can get the body to naturally start the repair process. Is there anything that we need to remove? Do we need to remove a food protein from their diet? Get rid of gluten, get rid of dairy, get rid of corn, get rid of soy, whatever it is. Do we need to remove something like an opportunistic bug, microbe, bacteria, yeast, virus, parasite, fungus that's negatively affecting that patient? So we get those answers first, and then say they come back with a bug, like a yeast, virus, bacteria, fungus. There's different protocols for each individual one. So bacteria, maybe we use oregano oil, and for parasites we use black walnut. For viruses, maybe we use things like lysine, vitamin A, C, D. So you have different protocols based on what, if there's a microbe present and what it is and how bad do they have it. So the test will tell you like how many microbes are present, and you can kind of gauge on, boy, they have a really significant infection, or we'll just do this for a month and clean it up and it should be okay. Once we take the fire off, right, then we have to ask ourselves, okay, do we have to give the body anything to help break down the food that they're eating so they get the most out of their nutrients in the food that they're eating? So the way it works is digestion all starts in the mouth. When you start to eat and you generate saliva, and then that initiates the HCl production from the parietal cells of the stomach. So HCl stands for hydrochloric acid, and that breaks down protein. So proteins get broken down into peptides, and they get broken down to individual amino acids. Why that's important is because if you break down proteins into individual amino acids, you can't react to them. And then that initiates your pancreas to release pancreatic enzymes to help break down all the carbohydrates you're eating, whether it's roughage, fiber, salads, fruits, veggies, whatever it is. Pancreatic enzymes increase to help you break that down so you don't bloat around salads and roughage and fiber, which is extremely common. That should hopefully initiate the gallbladder to release the bile to emulsify fats as it goes into the duodenum, the first part of the small intestine, where you absorb things. Your nutrients from your food, your vitamins, your minerals, your supplements, your medications, all that kind of stuff. We're restocking the shelves, so to speak. So that's the replace phase, which is a critical component if the patient needs it. Then the next one is called the repair phase. So repair is where we're trying to give the body what it needs to kind of get those, those tight junctions back into a healthy state, so only essential things can pass through into the bloodstream. Vitamins, minerals, and in the essential things from our diet that give us nutrition, nourish our bodies, and aid us in the healing process. But in conjunction with that, we can also provide things like glutamine, or maybe DGL, it's called deglycyrrhizal licorice, or zinc or vitamin A. Colostrum, dairy-free colostrum is what we use. The trick is how much do I take? That's where we come in, where we can give more guidance on that. A lot of our patients are very well educated coming in, but the number one thing is, what's a high quality vitamin or nutrient? How do I know I'm taking enough? What's a good dose for you? Not what the bottle says what's a good dose for you. Maybe it's less, maybe it's more. I don't know until I see the patient and look over the results and see kind of how they're handling the protocol. And then the fourth stage is re-inoculate, where we try to add in the good bacteria with probiotics, fermented foods, dairy-free kefir or kombucha, or something like sauerkraut, or probiotics supplementally. Okay, so that's adding the good bacteria back in. Now, the reason why we don't do that right away is because if you add good bacteria and they already have something like small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, like SIBO, it can make them feel worse. They can bloat when they take it, because they're feeding bacteria on top of, even though it's good bacteria, they're feeding bacteria on top of bacteria that can kind of promote some of the issue, until we get that under control, and then introducing that. That's why it's kind of towards the last stage to reintroduce that good bacteria back into the system. And then for Restorative Health Solutions, our fifth R in the program is Rehab, which is more brain rehab. And the reason why we do that is to integrate the brain-gut axis and get that whole system firing back up. Now, we usually start it a little bit sooner than that. I put it at the end just because it might be at the end, it might be at the beginning, it might be in the middle, I don't know where it is, but the 4R protocol is very standard, right? When you look at the remove, the replace, the repair, the re-inoculate, that's across the board. A lot of people use that. And then we integrate the fifth R, which is the rehab, which looks at how you do neurologically. Do you have findings on the neurological exam, and then what exercises do I need to do to improve that brainstem vagus nerve connection into the gut? Here's some neurofeedback exercises to increase the vagal output of the vagus nerve into the gut, to move that food along, to increase digestive enzymes naturally, to bring blood flow to the gut to help you heal, right? To tighten up that ileocecal valve so that that bacteria doesn't creep so easily back up into the small intestine and make you bloat. And then that feed-forward mechanism, and the feedback from the gut to the brain, brain to the gut to the brain, brain to the gut, over and over and over again, to just re-emphasize that communication between the two systems.